Today, we are here to basically put an understanding on paper to establish the Newsplex Asia in our school. Before we begin, I'd like to invite our chair, Professor Benjamin Dettenber, to give the introductory speech.
Thank you, Junie. Good morning. I am Benjamin Dettenber, the chair of the Wee Kim Wee School of Communication and Information here at Nanyang Technological University. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our guests, and since Junie has just introduced you all, I think I'll skip the formalities and the designations and everything and just say, very glad you're here. Thank you for coming. Today is an exciting day for us here, and it really has to do with this collaboration between NTU, a world-class university, and WAN-IFRA, a global professional organization dedicated to advancing production and distribution of news. The collaboration reflects a shared understanding about the importance of addressing professional needs arising from the current state of news production and distribution, as well as the needs of current and future news consumers. Furthermore, the collaboration highlights the common goal of educating aspiring journalists and training professionals for the future of news and media production. What we are trying to do is better prepare our students for the job market and the workplace of tomorrow as well as today. A challenge that we face is how to prepare them for jobs that do not yet exist. The Newsplex, with its integrated equipment and operational capacities, will help us to do that. In addition to learning new skills, students and professional journalists will come to understand some of the fundamental changes that are occurring in news organizations. The 21st century has seen a shift from journalists and editors being gatekeepers to gate watchers, from being content creators and producers to being content architects and distributors on a variety of platforms. As new technologies develop and the flow of information increases, new methods of processing and packaging that information are required. This is driven not just by the needs of the media industries, but by the preferences of news audiences. I believe that the desire for news, information, analysis, commentary, and entertainment is as great as it ever has been, and devices like smartphones and tablet computers have created more opportunities than ever for people to get what they seek. While technologically driven changes have presented serious challenges to the news media and information industries, they also present opportunities. First-hand experience in development of integrated multimedia content and working across platforms will help to prepare our students for this brave new world and position themselves to capitalize on emerging trends. In our curriculum, we have a number of courses that offer hands-on training and will take advantage of this new facility. Courses such as online journalism, our newspaper practicum, broadcast journalism, creative practices and technologies will be taught in the Newsplex. We have several practicum courses which produce student product. We have the Nanyang Chronicle, the university newspaper. 60 students are involved in that, and they're currently working in a facility on the third floor that is a little bit outdated. The Newsplex is one of the reasons why we would like to shift that and update it. We also have Nanyang Spectrum with its news operations. This is our on-campus television station. Radio Fusion, which is an internet-based radio station. And Connections, which is an alumni magazine produced by our students. All of these practicum courses will make use of the Newsplex, as well as the other traditional conceptually driven courses. The Newsplex is going to add value to our teaching and learning for both faculty and students. It will facilitate the content creation and collaboration. It'll pave the way for developing new forms of content, and it will prepare students for working in the newsroom of the future. We're very excited about this new facility and how it will change the way student media is produced, the learning opportunities that it will create. We're also very pleased to establish a long-standing relationship with WAN-IFRA, a global leader in research, training, and development for news professionals and publishers. With that in mind, I would like to turn things over to Mr. Thomas Jacob, Deputy CEO of WAN-IFRA. Thank you.
Professor Freddie Boy, Professor Alan Chan, Professor Ben, Patrick Daniel, Walter, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we are about to sign the Memorandum of Understanding between NTU and WAN-IFRA for the creation of Newsplex Asia. On this special occasion, allow me to share the origins, philosophy, as well as the vision of Newsplex. It all started way back in 1998 when a journalist called Kerry Northrup joined WAN-IFRA's Advanced News Operations Division. Kerry, who used to work for Gannett Newspaper Group in the US, came to Europe, and he started to work with global newspapers, newsrooms, to help them to reorganize the newsroom and also to improve the efficiencies in newsrooms. So during this phase, he created this concept of a Newsplex. So what exactly is a Newsplex? Newsplex, or multiplexing of news, the core idea is to use the possibilities of media convergence and cross-media trained journalists to ensure that the story, which is the center of the whole newsroom, reaches the audience irrespective of place, time, and platform. His proposition, challenging the conventional wisdom, was to put the story at the center of reporting and not around a production platform like paper. As you can imagine, 15 years ago, this was quite revolutionary. These initial concepts were presented at a time when newspapers were print-centric and not multimedia media houses. Stories had to appear in the newspaper first before they could be posted online, and print reporters had no interest in anything but to see their reports only on the print paper. So it became clear that without a kind of test lab, it would be almost impossible to persuade newspapers to undertake this fundamental change. Thus, the first Newsplex was built at the University of South Carolina, as you can see in some of the slides over there, as a micro newsroom of the future. Since its opening in 2002, the facility's impact has been remarkable. More than 1,000 people have visited the facility, and also hundreds of journalists have had advanced training at this facility in South Carolina. Very soon, a demand for a similar center in Europe started to come up to WAN-IFRA. The demand was answered by the opening of Newsplex Europe on 13 September 2005 in Darmstadt. And by the way, Darmstadt is a small city which is about 24 kilometers from Frankfurt Airport, where WAN-IFRA's head office is based. And right now, as I speak, we have a third Newsplex facility that's being built in France in a place called Saint-Etienne, together in collaboration with the universities in Lyon and also the provincial government of those countries. Ladies and gentlemen, the 400-year-old newspaper industry is going through some challenging times. The structural challenges, coupled with the financial crisis, expose some of the fault lines that were developing. We are seeing the growth in digital audience without a matching growth in digital revenues. We are also seeing the fragmentation of the audience, causing observers to wonder if you are moving from a phase of mass media to a mass of niche. With the proliferation of mobile internet, social media, and tablet devices, consumers not only want to choose how and they will access news and information, they also want to decide for themselves what is relevant to the world. At the same time, they want to be integrated with the whole communication process. In this context, the key question arises: how can publishing houses keep audience and successfully provide news and information products that best fit the needs in a sustainable way? At Newsplex, one of the answers is grounded on the philosophy of convergence. This means no longer relying just on traditional print format, but to understand that editorial staff can get the best out of every story by using a variety of media platforms and formats. These platforms can be print, online video and slideshows, web TV, mobile, or whatever new technology that comes up in the future. The Newsplex objective is to get the theory of convergence into practice and enrich the art of journalism and storytelling by using all the platforms in the most appropriate manner, and create a strong affinity between the audience and the media houses in the future. Putting content rather than any of the distribution medium at the center of editorial production process requires a different way of operating. It creates new roles for the people working in the newsrooms. Journalists need to learn the strengths and weaknesses of all the respective media, and they need to understand how news consumers are using those media as well. Only then can journalists know how best to communicate the stories to the audience 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. However, this is easier said than done. As both Patrick and Walter can tell you, this is an extremely complicated and difficult task. It's the aim of the Newsplex to help newspapers and media houses to understand and master the changes in the art of storytelling and help newsrooms to progress from what we define as Newsroom 1.0 model or the multiple media newsroom to the next advanced version, which is what we call the Newsroom 2.0 with its enhanced cross-media approach. And from there to the next phase, which is Newsroom 3.0 model, which is a fully integrated media approach. As we speak, there are some discussions going on about creating a new version called Newsstream 4.0. So these discussions are still in the conceptual stage. So in order to fulfill the mission, the offerings at Newsplex Asia will be designed around practical programs that any media house in Asia could easily adopt as an effective and economical starting point. The combined training and coaching modules are orchestrated implementations of some of the basic Newsplex philosophies, technologies, and techniques. Newsplex has pioneered not just a change in the way editors and journalists are organized and work together, not just a change in newsroom layout and technology or roles, but a fundamental change in mindset on how to approach news consumers with valid and valued information. With the opening of Newsplex Asia, we'll be one step closer to the aim of transforming newspaper companies from what we call as monomedia to MMM or multimedia, multi-platform, multi-channel media powerhouses, and from there and to transition on to what we call as the smart media companies. In Singapore, of course, these words stand for something else, but in our context, it stands for smart media companies. So again, the smart media company is one which puts customer at the center of its existence. This will ensure that the newspaper industry continues to survive for yet another 400 years more. We at WAN-IFRA feel honored that NTU and WKIM School of Communications and Information found the Newsplex philosophy attractive enough to build the first one in Asia. I'm confident that Newsplex Asia will see increased interaction between the academia and industry, not only leading to increased projects and bring out students who are capable of fulfilling the demands of modern media companies and society at large. Thank you.
And next, we have Mr. Patrick Daniel, Editor-in-Chief of English and Malay Newspapers, SPH.
You don't really need another speech, so I'll just say a few words. First of all, I'm here representing not just Singapore Press Holdings, but also the WAN-IFRA Asia Pacific Committee. So I'm here representing them. My involvement really was to sing the praises of the WKIM School to my colleagues on the WAN-IFRA Asia Pacific Committee. When Thomas came to Singapore with his CEO some years back, with this idea of a Newsplex in Asia, I told him that Singapore was the place for it, and NTU was the institution it should be at. So my job was, I just made the introductions and left it to him, and today you have this wonderful Newsplex. I've been involved in NTU in many small ways, not in any big ways. My first involvement with NTU was about 2 decades ago when Professor Eddie Koh and Arun Mahisnan came to the Straits Times to talk to us about setting up a journalism school at NTU. Would there be demand? Would we hire journalists from NTU, etc.? So of course I encouraged them, that Singapore needed a journalism school, and soon after, not that I made any difference, but soon after that, NTU school was formed. Then some years ago, when they wanted to rename the school, WKIM School. WKIM, of course, was our former president, and also he was from the Straits Times, so we were quite proud that the school would be named after him. So I was on the committee that raised funds, for the school to be named WKIM School. They have a rule that to name a school after somebody, you got to raise a certain amount of money. So it was a big sum of money, so we had to raise it. So I was quite happy to raise it, and now the Newsplex Asia, I have a small part to play in that. We've hired many graduates from NTU. Most of them, or I would say all of them, are well trained. Most of them are very talented. So I've been a big beneficiary, SPH, of the WKIM School. I think it's among the best journalism schools in Asia. I think it's on its way to being the best journalism school, mass comm school in Asia. And I think that Newsplex Asia will further help the NTU school, WeCanWe school in NTU, to establish itself as the leading mass comms school. I think it's also quite timely, as Ben and Thomas have said. The media industry is changing with convergence, multimedia, etc. I think Ben was right in saying that the news business, no, not the news business, the news industry is alive and well. It's thriving. The demand for news is undiminished. Media companies are undergoing change. The business itself will change. Some will survive, some won't survive. But the demand for news is undiminished. And for as long as the demand for news is undiminished, the demand for journalism education is undiminished. I think if you look at media, journalism schools everywhere, they are all thriving. It's the media, it's the newspapers and the media companies that might be in trouble, but the journalism schools are doing very well. And that's because the demand for news, is undiminished. And because it's changing so much, you need things like the Newsplex to kind of teach, kids, the different ways of packaging the news and producing the news. So I think this is incredibly timely that it's been set up. So I want to just congratulate NTU, WeCanWe School, and WAN-IFRA. Thank you, Thomas, for listening to me, and wish it every success. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat. As project coordinator of this Newsplex Asia, I've been very privileged to have been working with some very, very talented people. And today I see in members of the media and the audience as well, who have been very, very supportive of this effort. Some have actually asked to come to today's MOU signing because they are interested in knowing how we train our students. And others are here to cover this event. And we hope by September or October, we will have the Newsplex ready for you all to walk through, see, touch, and feel the facility when it's ready out by the entrance of the school. Under the terms of this MOU, the school is building the Newsplex and will be using the facility during the semesters for its regular courses and classes, like Ben had mentioned. And during the school vacations, then WAN-IFRA will come in and conduct training for industry from the region as well as in Singapore. And also members of our faculty and students will be welcome to attend some of these courses. So we really see a win-win here. And are very much looking forward to this partnership. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Mr. Thomas Jacob and Professor Freddie Boy to take the seats for the signing, and the witnesses, Mr. Patrick Daniel and Dean Prof. Alan Chan, to stand as witnesses of the signing. One more round. One more round. And if we can take a group photo. Yes. Okay. And gentlemen, if okay, thank you. And if you'd like to come to the board here, we would also like you to sign. We would also like you to sign the backdrop. Yes, right. Yes. You can have a photograph as well. Yeah, would you like to put up? Provost. By the signatures. Yeah, Ben. Yeah. Yes. And now Professor Bui will present Mr. Thomas Jacob with a corporate gift from NTU. Mr. Jacob has something for Professor Bui. Could we invite all our guests, Mr. Walter, Gilles, Christine as well, on stage for a group photo? Okay, thank you. Okay, this brings us to the end of the MOU signing. I'd like to invite all our VIP guests and our audience to proceed for lunch upstairs in the foyer. Thank you very much.